What's going on, guys? This is Rob, and we are back with Marvel's rushed ending to the Sabretooth War as part of their equally rushed conclusion to the Krakoan era and the fall of House of X. You guys will see what I'm talking about as we get to this video. So, what we do is we open up here with this long-awaited fight that's taking place between Sabretooth and Wolverine. Now, the cool thing that goes on here is that initially we have basically the Exiles, which again, for those of you guys who need to get caught up, there'll be a playlist for this at the end of the video. But the long and short of it is that the Exiles are just kind of a collection of mutants that have a grudge against Sabretooth, not the traditional multiverse Exiles that you're familiar with. And the way this worked out was that due to a combination of circumstances which have no real bearing on what's going on here, you ended up getting the son of Sabretooth, Graydon Creed, who was pulled in from an alternate dimension because the belief was that he would be able to destroy Sabretooth. But that doesn't happen, and Graydon Creed doesn't even matter, because within the span of like 2 pages at the start of this comic, he dies. He gets punched through the chest by Sabretooth, which is kind of amazing, but also kind of sad at the same time, because they build this whole thing up like, yes, he's really going to be able to do something, and then nothing happens. He just dies immediately. But what we do get is the actual fight between Wolverine and Sabretooth. Now, one of the things to keep in mind that we had seen previously in the story running up to this fight here was that Wolverine was depowered by Sabretooth, meaning he had no healing factor. So in order to compensate for that, Wolverine had basically gotten a hold of this kind of adamantium armor that was developed by Forge of the X-Men specifically for Wolverine, as well as the Muramasa blade, which is a sword that can nullify anybody's healing factor. And when I say nullify, I mean like totally kills it off. It's not like carbonadium where it just disrupts it for a period of time. You get stabbed with this sword and your healing factor is gone forever. And so there's going to be a kind of caveat here that's just going to be a clear indication of the fact that the story is insanely rushed. But before we get to that, the first thing Wolverine does is the smart move. He stabs Sabretooth, Sabretooth's healing factor is gone. And so as a result of that, Sabretooth bails off. Now here's one of the cool things to know, right? Right off the bat, when most people think of Sabretooth and they think of Wolverine, they think of two guys who are not really the sharpest tools in the shed. And there's ample reason to believe that, right? They're cool, they're really interesting, but they're not like the smartest guys to ever exist. However, when it comes to them fighting each other, they know each other top to bottom. They know their strengths and weaknesses because they've just been fighting for so long, arguably over 100 years at this point. And so when Sabretooth bails, Wolverine's not far behind, but Sabretooth is leading Wolverine to a particular location. And of course, you do get a kind of back and forth that goes on between these guys, but the bigger part that goes on is that as Sabretooth continues this run, he ultimately leads Wolverine to the Quiet Council of Krakoa. Now, a little bit of explanation here for those of you guys who are just now catching up, who have clicked on this for the very first time. Sabretooth was not a part of Marvel's entire Krakoa age for a long time, really for like most of it. And it was one of those really disappointing things that at the very beginning of Jonathan Hickman's run on House and Powers of X, Sabretooth was confined to the pit, which is to say a kind of underground prison within the island itself. But this is why he says, here we are, the Quiet Council, where it all began for me. And where Wolverine figures it out, the response to Sabretooth is, you're smart. This is where I got dragged into the pit. But something funny happened while I was down there. I got real close with the island, with one part of it anyway. As soon as I touched down, I could feel the psychic connection, and it's strongest right here. And so what he's talking about is that when Sabretooth was put into the pit, initially he was just kind of confined by vines and would have just been there for some period of time. We weren't really given a clear indication of how time worked down there. Presumably you were without time, so a year could pass out in the real world and you just wouldn't know, right? As far as your perception of time went, it could have been seconds or minutes or hours or like years as far as you were concerned, right? A kind of solitary confinement type thing. But what had happened is that Sabretooth, by way of kind of it being allowed by the island of Krakoa, had actually taken this prison and turned it into his own sort of kingdom, right? In the sense that he could basically manipulate reality down there. He could make it into anything he wanted to be. And initially he started just killing all the X-Men in all these different ways. He literally made himself the king of hell at one point in time. That's where the exiles came in, right? Some other mutants who were thrown down into the prison, and then things went sideways and they just ended up having a grudge with Sabretooth ever since then. But I say all that to say, when Wolverine is pulled down into the pit, it's really kind of the worst case scenario for him, because what this means is now he is beholden to the power of Sabretooth and everything he can do. And this is literally what he says, right? Wolverine says it was meant to be his prison, but it became his playground, a torture chamber. I'm shucked like an oyster out of my armor. There's nothing left to protect me but me. But still, he won't face me. He's afraid. He's always been afraid. Won't even come to me himself, throwing psychic plant forms of my past to try to hurt me, because I can swallow the pain. He can only abide the suffering inside him by sharing it with others. Now, there is a really cool distinction here that's being made by Benjamin Percy, even though, no doubt, Marvel editorial is just kind of forcing him to rush the conclusion of the story. And again, you'll see what I mean once we get to the end of this, that there really are huge differences between Sabretooth and Wolverine in a variety of different ways. But this is one of them, right? Wolverine, in a lot of ways, just kind of the guy who keeps to himself. He doesn't really go out and intentionally inflict harm on other people. Now, don't misunderstand. As most of you guys know, Wolverine is in the business of whooping ass. And under normal circumstances, business is good. If you piss him off, yeah, man, he's gonna come for you and he's gonna take you apart piece by piece. But normally, he just drinks beer even though he can't get drunk. He likes the taste. He's always going after Jean Grey, trying to bang her every chance he gets, and he's just kind of out living his life, and that's it. Sabretooth is the antithesis to that, right? If Wolverine has all this inner turmoil and all this pain that he keeps to himself, Sabretooth lashes out. It's exactly what Wolverine's saying here. Sabretooth only knows how to cope with his own personal pain by turning it into other people's pain. He's the most pure definition of like a psychopath, a sociopath, right? So out of touch with himself that he has to harm others in order to feel good. And so what he does here, as the two of them are kind of talking, Sabretooth sort of counters this mentality of Wolverine in saying, pain, pain, pain. That's the point of us, Logan. We chew on pain, we cause pain, we are pain. The world is worse off because of us, and I'm worse off because of you. Everyone will be relieved if you die, so die already. Now, this is a very interesting point because it can be easily looked at as Sabretooth just goading Wolverine, right, and just kind of talking trash. But it's actually true, right? Wolverine becoming this more toned down character, this guy that deals with his inner turmoil by holding it in, so on and so forth. That's all for the most part Alpha Flight and X-Men stuff. Before that, when he was on like Team X and that kind of thing, this guy was the best there is at what he did, right? He was a killer. He inflicted harm. And that's one of the things that Sabretooth pointed out at a previous point in time when he was talking to Wolverine. Have you ever actually considered the body count of the people that we've killed? Not the ones that we killed directly, the ones that were killed as a consequence of our actions, that were sent in on some mission for Team X. We kill some scientist, only for us to learn, or to possibly even never learn, this scientist was on the cusp of inventing a cure for cancer, but because they're dead, that cure will never come to fruition, and countless billions from now until the ending of humanity will die as a result of our actions, assuming nobody else comes up with a cure besides this person, right? These are the consequences of our actions. So yes, Wolverine has a massive body count, both directly and indirectly as a result of his actions. But the difference between these two is Wolverine has consistently been on a path of redemption. Sabretooth has been on a path of destruction. And so as he's goading Wolverine, suddenly the vines come out of nowhere and they seize control of them and then drag them out of the pit. And of course we end up finding out that this is done by way of Black Tom Cassidy, a mutant that has the ability to control plant matter, right? To control virtually all plant life. They drag Creed out of the pit and the entirety of X-Factor start attacking him. Now initially they're going to kill him, but the response of Wolverine is no, right? Leave him be. This fight is between him and myself because it's a long time coming. Now, here's one of the kickers. The way this is going to end is going to be intriguing because no doubt this isn't the conclusion of the whole thing, but they do allow a moment, a kind of battle circle where Wolverine and Sabretooth finally duke it out one last time. And this is a knockdown, drag-out fight in the extreme, the most extreme. And that's why it is so brutal, and that's why it is so intense. But it's also why you have statements that are going back and forth between the two. When Sabretooth says, "You just want me to end, but do you even exist without me? Who would you even be without all this hurt?" Because in a lot of ways, it defines Wolverine. It makes him who he is, right? All this violence, all that kind of stuff, it really has in a lot of ways become his self-definition as far as Sabretooth is concerned. But the response of Wolverine is, no. The difference between you and me is I grew past all of that, and now I'm just on a path to redeeming myself. You never did. You hold on to the past because you don't know how to live without it. You let it define you. And so in these final moments with his Muramasa blade, Wolverine slashes Sabretooth, literally cuts him into pieces and leaves him there. And that's it. Now, Sabretooth is obviously going to come back in Marvel Comics. How he does it, I don't know. It's going to be some comic book writer that offers some hand-wavy explanation and he'll officially return. But like, this is effectively where it ends. There is a kind of discussion that goes on between Quentin Quire and Phoebe where Quentin Quire is technically dead, right? Like, I mean, once she shuts off the device that's keeping his head alive, he'll officially be gone. And the two of them were, you know, in a relationship together, had a kind of love interest and so on. So she's basically letting, you know, this part of her life go. In turn, of course, you have the exiles that take off and do their own thing. And Wolverine's just like, yeah, man, I have family now. And the comic ends. It's literally it, right? I told you guys, it's ridiculously rushed. Marvel fumbled the bag so bad with the ending of The Fall of the House of X. If you guys haven't, read Rise of the Powers of X #5, the one that just came out. I don't even know if I'm gonna cover it, it's so poorly done. So yeah, like Marvel just rushed this so bad. And it's the Marvel method, right? Like start off strong, fumble at the finish line. With that being said, guys, we're gonna bring this to an end. Let me know what you guys think about Sabretooth War down in the comment section, and I will catch you all later. Peace.